Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Anna Speaks. This is the podcast where I'm allowed to talk about anything I want. I am a manifestation slash relationship slash entrepreneurial coach. I coach in all sorts of departments. However, on this channel, I give myself permission to talk about whatever I'm inspired to talk about. And there are certain times, this is the reason I created this channel for, that I'm inspired to talk about other things, which are just as interesting to me, and I'm sure it will resonate with others. So the other day, I caught a clip of Joe Dispenza, and I absolutely adore the guy. I mean, completely. But he was saying something that I wanted to discuss with you guys. He was saying that, and I remember actually Bentinho Massaro say something like this as well, where, something to the effect of, and I may be completely paraphrasing at this moment in time because I don't have a direct quote, but something to the effect of, the trauma and the drama, it will always be there. So it's a matter of leaving the drama behind. In other words, I specifically remember Joe Dispenza in this clip saying something like, working through an emotion doesn't work. He said something to that effect, and that caught my attention because I've seen that before. And the reason I want to kind of like open up the floor for a discussion, really, and I'll give you my take. Okay, as somebody who's been helping people now for many years, um, you know, it also another one I saw the other day. So funny, I just thought of it. Kevin Trudeau. I don't know if you guys know who he is. I don't agree with everything that he says, but he's interesting in moments. He said something like, if we should see good in everything or something, laugh about it later, why don't we laugh about it now? In other words, fast forward to being over it. And the title is exactly that, get over it or work through it, right? I gotta tell you, it reminds me of the reason why um, therapy didn't work out for me in my mid 20s in particular. I mean, I needed therapy like since age 11, but okay, who's counting? But specifically at that time, I finally gave in and sought help, and my profound confusion and disappointment, this is at least my experience again, right? Underlined 300 million times. I'm not discouraging by any stretch of the imagination to get therapy. You should. Okay. In fact, like in my coaching, there's a clause, this is not a substitute for therapy. Like, I truly believe people benefit from it. But the way that I experienced it is that I really like myself, and I see myself in my clients so much, where like literally people have got this necessity to talk through things, and they perhaps have not had the chance to do this in years, or to do it with such freedom, you know and to do it so honestly, and with somebody they trust and resonate with. Because not only, again, I'm not a therapist, but I'm a coach, but I also come with my own kind of um the way that I present my teachings, etc. So to do this work with somebody who you resonate with in thinking, it's like really, makes it completely bombastic. You understand? But somebody who's disinterested in hearing you out, and I always say, like, this is the distinction that I would make. I don't believe human people were designed to just get over it. We're creatures of habit. We really, we have this necessity to do it incrementally. Otherwise, it's a little bit too disturbing. And I really want to encourage you today that, if you have this necessity to talk through it and to really, do it in an environment where it will be well received and heard and taken really seriously, and like, you understand, like, there are a lot of people who are therapists and I feel who are coaches who just, truth be told, don't care. All right. And it shows, it really does show it. I really want you to seek the best kind of experience where you are heard and you are able to talk about things until you don't feel like talking about them. Here's the only caveat, however. For me, if I see a person, I've had these situations, and listen, again, I really sympathize with people because I know it's hard. But see, for me, like, ethically, to keep somebody in coaching till the end of motherfucking time without calling them out on what they're not doing. In other words, if somebody's continually talking about the same problem and we create an action plan and the person does not take any action, but not even a little bit sometimes, and obviously the problem continues, then it's kind of like, all right, well, how many times can we have the same conversation? Right? That's different, right? Like, if there's certain things that need to take place, I don't know, I give homework to my clients and, certain exercises, etc. Like, or, literally things to do in the 3D to support your manifestation. You know what I mean? If you're not going to practice it, if you're not going to build, start building that bridge towards the other reality, yeah, that's, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. It's different from somebody's in pain still over a traumatic situation that occurred, and what's traumatic to one person may not be traumatic to another. So don't fucking judge ever. Um, you know, that's the thing. I don't care what anybody says. My experience says sometimes people just need to talk through it. And yes, it will be repetitive. Again, it's different from, let's just say, a relationship situation where it's like another person involved, then it's like another dynamic. This is work you do on you, you know? In other words, the distinction is, I want to hear you out till the end of time, as long as I see you try again to go to the other side, because otherwise it's unhealthy. You understand? Otherwise it's unhealthy. But I know personally the value of just sitting there and bouncing off ideas. The person just has to be receptive, they have to guide you right, they have to give a shit, okay, for the lack of better verbiage. They really have to care. It builds a different kind of dynamic. And what's achieved is this: if you do this correctly, you never need to revisit that again. See, it's different from it still exists and I can go there. No, you never go there again. You never revisit it again. If something, like, let's just say, I've had situations with clients where, you know what I mean, like, let's just say they've never had a relationship that was stable before and they finally got into one they really wanted to, right? And then sometime down the line they run into not exactly the same kind of situation, smaller but similar. To me, that's different. Okay, that's different because you're now in a new chapter of life. So, like, if it still will come up, I mean, it's still something there. Doesn't mean, though, this is where I disagree with Joe Dispenza, that it stays with you forever. It does not. It just doesn't. And how you know it doesn't is that, again, you can't go there anymore. It's kind of like you can't step into the same river twice. that it doesn't trigger you, that it doesn't bother you, that it doesn't do anything for you. And in fact, how you know you've triumphed over it and definitely not going back is that you are sincerely grateful for the experience. If you can tie it up with a bow like this, finito, you're the winner completely. So yes, the timeline where you still be, experiencing the effects of trauma and mama drama panorama, as I call it, not to make light of it, but kind of, just, well, have a little laugh while we're talking about serious things. Yeah, that timeline will always be there, but does it's kind of like once you've transcended it. Like for me, sometimes I have these visions of other timelines, within my lifetime that I can feel their proximity. Let's just say it like that. I know that it's um let's just say it like this, available, that it's within, well, obviously within the universe, and it will always exist. But what I'm always noticing, like looking back on certain specific points in my life, let's just say, and I always talk about tonality because that's how they're differentiated. Um, each timeline, like each period of time in your life, is colored by a certain tonality. Something going on, some kind of situation, this, that, and the other. And I feel their proximity, like that everything exists at the same time type of feeling very often. But what I always notice is that I've changed. My vibration, my frequency is so different now. I've grown in energy so much bigger, exactly by alchemizing, certain painful situations in the past. You know what I mean? By timelines, certain specific incident or whatever situations that I've lived through that, yes, they're vivid in my mind, but you know what I mean? Like I remember it vividly. There's nothing, to do about that. But I don't have the emotional connection anymore. You know what I mean? So that to achieve this to me is way more productive rather than, so let's just say we go with this logic for a second that, you can always access your drama and trauma as, maybe, listen, chances are I'm misinterpreting, but I don't think I am in the case of the example with Benny, I like to call him Bentinho Massaro and Joe Dispenza, who I both, by the way, love and adore. And if you're listening, seriously, like you are, my top five. So it's not said with disrespect, but like if that is true, so now I have to be concerned that this reality is always next door, let's just say. Right? Is that another layer of anxiety I have to work through to right? To kind of, I'm just speaking from like the perspective of my client who, you understand, it's a lot, it is the truth what I'm explaining. I've done it myself. So I feel like on in all aspects, I'm kind of like proving my point that it's a really, really great idea to give yourself a destination. And if it's a destination, you never go back. And that's the whole fucking situation. And wherever you are, well, that's where you are. And there's, it has to be okay. It has to be okay because you are on your way. It's not, you are becoming that person right now, but it isn't going to do itself. The longer that you will avoid like confronting things, or I've learned this so vividly over 10 years ago, like letting go of grudges. I saw somewhere today on social media today something really brilliant, something like I saw a thumbnail of somebody's something to the effect of "My hands are too full of blessings to hold grudges." I was like, that is genius. I love it. I screenshot it. I did. That's genius. I think I'm gonna like blow it up in the photo and post it in my office. Anyway, uh whatever it is, whether that's a grudge, whether that's, the need for approval, which can really, oh my God, really suck you dry. Um, whatever it, and it feels wrong. You know it. It's driving you motherfucking insane. You wish you could relax. I've been there, darling. I've been there. And the thing is, everybody wants a quick fix. I get it. It's like, give me a pill or something. Let's forget about all of this. It doesn't happen like this. But I'll tell you something. And like, I'm so glad that I am where I am, in my life, the way that like my mind is positioned, that everything worked out exactly the way that it did. Because I would really recommend to anybody, even in their 30s, to just make sure that, everything that you truly want to have in life, you have it. I know it sounds like so fucking cliche, like a Hallmark postcard, but that's the number one symptom, right? I mean, it's obvious. It really is. But if you don't, if something is still kind of, truth be told, is driving you crazy, um, sometimes I'm convinced the universe does it on purpose. I know this to be 100% true for me. Um, to bring up some memory, to bring up some person, um, whatever needs to be cleansed. And it'll even present the person themselves, in the 3D for you to clear some shit up with them. Even stupid stuff, it's not stupid actually. Like cleaning out your closets and giving away the clothes that you don't wear, like all of this, excuse me, extraneous energy that is taking up room, right? Like transcending all of that old stuff. It's the most powerful, genius way also to help yourself, to kind of layer by layer unveil this person who you really are underneath. Like you will not recognize yourself. This is why this work is so worth it on yourself if you do this with curiosity. I don't know how else to say it. Because you're so interested in being somebody better and not the version you used to be before, like just things just automatically click for you, you know? Like right now, if something bothers you, if something is hanging heavy, um, and has been hanging heavy, like there is no amount of affirmations, um, whatever you want to say, to yourself or listen to meditation, it's not going to work. And until such time the debris has cleared, and it's kind of like the universe is pushing you towards that. So that's what I think. But it's really, really true, especially with my clients. I notice it all the time. When you get to vent and vomit, I call it that. A really fun expression. Not cute, but fun. Um, it's like a detox, all right? And all of this stuff has to go somewhere. All of this stuff has to be, until such time you just, you know what, one day you wake up and you're like, I don't feel like talking like this anymore. I don't feel like being this person, with the destination in mind, that you're what you're doing, the intention with which you're doing it, the vent and vomiting. It's not just to do it endlessly again, but to do it like with like it's a precise method. It's like if you were to lose a certain amount of weight, you're doing your exercise with purpose. It's the same thing here. And I just want to double stress, however long that takes for you to talk about that traumatic experience or those traumatic experiences, plural, that's what the fuck needs to take place. Okay? Because it ain't going nowhere. You can stuff it down, you can you can prolong it, but it will shift your reality like night and day when you allow yourself to just go there and trust that you'll be okay. Even like going into that place, and it might be scary, like you might have a much scarier memory than what it really was, because it's obvious of the impression of the emotions. And just to even be ballsy enough to go there and claim your fucking power, man. And be like, I'm the fucking queen, I'm the fucking king. Fears, get the fuck out of here. You don't rule my world. That's a different feeling than just closing the door on a reality. That's completely owning that shit. That's like owning your darkness galore. Just totally like holding it by the balls. You know what I mean? Then, like, you really get to integrate every single piece, like what you used to be ashamed of, because that's the impression that you got in childhood, what you used to be embarrassed of, all of this fucking bullshit, right? Um, it becomes your golden medal. It becomes like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is who I am. This is what made me me, and I fucking own it with the scars and all kind of situation. And that's exactly what makes me beautiful. See, that's when you get to that place, it's game over. There's no going back from that. So sorry, Bentinho Massaro again, and Joe Dispenza to disagree, but comment below. What is your opinion? What do you think? What has been your experience? Most importantly, until the next time, ciao ciao.